afternoon. This is Donna Lea P. Buendia, and our topic is about the introduction to human development for the subject developmental psychology. All right. So, developmental psychology is an approach, okay, a scientific approach which aims to explain growth, change, and consistency throughout the lifespan of a person. Okay, so this is actually one area of psychology which explain the course of physical, social, emotional, moral, and even intellectual development over a person's lifespan from prenatal development up to death. Okay, now when you say development, it refers to the progressive series of changes of an orderly and coherent type toward a goal of maturity. Okay, so in the process of development, okay, it could be described as progressive. When you say progressive, it means the changes are directional. It will lead to something that is positive. Okay, in opposite of this, we have what we call regressive or regression, which means the progress, or we cannot say it as a progress, but the movement or the changes are backward. Okay. Okay, so we have types of changes in development. Okay, so the change in size, it means that there is a change in physical and in the even in the mental growth of the person, because in the mental growth there's also a change of size in the brain size of the person. So in the change in proportion, so physical development is not only limited to size, okay? So it is also apparent in mental development. And at first, a child is interested in himself alone, and later in others, object, in other object, in other objects, and then finally, his interests are directed toward members of the opposite sex. For the disappearance of old features, some features that disappear are, let's say, for example, the thymus gland, the baby hair, okay, Darwinian reflex, other kinds of reflexes such as Babinski reflex, and other baby forms of locomotion such as creeping and crawling. So those terms that I have mentioned will actually be part of our future discussion in developmental psychology. For acquisition of new features, so new features are acquired such as the primary and secondary sexual characteristics, as well as new mental traits, like for example, curiosity, sex, urge, knowledge, morals and standards, even religious beliefs and forms of language, and other, let's say, types of neurotic tendencies. Okay, so what are the different factors of development? There are two factors considered important in the development of an individual. This is maturation and learning. Okay, so maturation is the development or unfolding of traits, okay, potentially present in the individual considering his hereditary endowment. Okay, so in maturation, okay, so it does not only refer to changes in physical characteristics, but also in the functioning, in the capacity to perform, or let's say to behave, which are possible through changes in any part of the organism. Okay. On the other hand, learning, so this is the result of activities or day-to-day experiences on the child himself. So maturation and learning complement one another in the development of the individual. Okay, so let us proceed with the rates of development. Okay, so we have rapid development, which is actually noticeable, or I mean being observed in prenatal period, wherein you are still inside the womb of your mothers, and it will continue throughout the babyhood. Okay, so rapid development, it's a fast development. Okay, but in the first 2 weeks, okay, throughout the babyhood, there is known as the plateau. okay, wherein there is no physical development that takes place up to the first 6 years, okay? So we also have this kind of rate of development, the slow development. So this one starts from 6 years old to adolescence. So in adolescence, the rate of development is once more accelerated. So the slowing down of development from 6 years to adolescence is also known as the growth gap. Okay, so what are the different factors influencing attitude towards developmental changes? Okay, so the first one is appearance. All right. So changes that improve one's appearance are actually welcome, and it may lead to favorable attitudes, while those that detract from one's appearance are actually resisted, and every possible attempt is made to camouflage them. Okay, so for the second, we have changes of behavior. So those that are disconcerting, especially during puberty and the senescence period, okay, affect the attitudes toward the changes unfavorably. Okay, the reverse is true when changes are favorable, as when the helplessness of babyhood gradually gives way to the independence of childhood. Okay. Next, we have cultural stereotypes. So people learn cultural stereotypes associated with different ages, okay, from mass media, and they use them to judge people of these ages, okay? Not only to judge, but to make perception among other people. And then we have cultural values. So we know that every culture has certain values associated with different ages as well. So the maximum productivity is associated with young adulthood through early middle adulthood in the Filipino culture of today. So attitude towards this age group are more favorable than attitude towards any other group. Okay, so role changes, all right. So we know we assign different role changes. Sometimes it depends upon the sex of the person, okay? So, or the gender role on what we call. And attitude toward people of different ages are actually greatly influenced by the roles that they play. When people change their roles to less favorable ones, okay, as in the case of retirement, or let's say, for example, widowhood, social attitudes toward them become less sympathetic. Okay, so the last one is the personal experiences. So we have a profound effect on individual's attitude towards developmental change. Okay, we know that authority and prestige of middle-aged executives, they have a decrease in the approach retirement. Okay, their attitude towards their aging. Okay, so unfavorably they are affected by this, right? So these attitudes are intensified by unfavorable social attitudes, right?